Hi, we're talking about dice.
Love them or hate them, every wargamer has to get used to the fact that dice are probably here to stay.
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, there has got to be some sort of RNG going on with, whatever game you're playing. So we're here today to look at some different kinds of dice.
Yeah, and if you have been playing war games or any type of tabletop game for any amount of time, you probably have a collection of dice that rivals, well...
A dice factory?
Yeah.
I know much. I do. Oh God, I've got so much dice. But yeah.
Jars and jars of them.
And yeah.
Anyway.
Dice!
Some games have their own custom dice, right?
Yes, they do.
And hot topic, people hate using dice in some games. One of the biggest ones that we've come across is people don't like mechanics that take the element of skill away and leave it too much to chance.
Yeah. But of course, most tabletops do have, like I said, some sort of RNG, random number generator, in order to represent things that you can't control.
Well, yeah. If I was to fire a gun at you, I would probably hit on every single possible chance from here. But there is a slim chance that I don't know the gun will jam. Or it will slip. So yeah, so you have games that will try and incorporate that mechanic. Now, what annoys people, and we're interested in what you like in games and what you don't like. Some people like the rolling to hit, and then don't like the fact you then have to roll again to wound,
and then roll again to go through the armour,
and then to be forced to re-roll due to my special skill that my character.
Oh, don't forget I get +1.
Yes. And you rolled a 15 just then, I think.
Did I? Sweet.
So. Was that a D8 that fell? No,
it might be a 20. Yeah, whatever.
It was. But we wanted to talk about different games that use different dice and different mechanics that use different dice. So, I mean, first of all, roll to hit, roll to wound. That's a pet peeve for a lot of people, but it's a staple in, Warhammer.
Well, I mean, kind of one of the biggest tabletop games out there, Warhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to roll to hit. Usually it's on a 4 or a 3+, and that's pretty much the core of the game right there.
Yeah, roll to hit. And then once you hit, you roll the dice again to see if you wound.
Yeah, and then you roll the dice again to see if you... then the enemy rolls the dice to see if their armour saves it.
Right, okay. So I can see why... Well, there goes all of our props. I can see why...
Set dressing! Rudy!
Yeah. I mean, I can see why that annoys some people, because...
It is incredibly frustrating. Like you said, especially when you've gone through... It's like, well, I rolled a hit and I get +1 to that, I can re-roll that, that's good. And then I get a +1 to wound, so that's even better. And then their armour saved it again. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Whereas if we take games that maybe, for example, top of my head, like SPQR, for example, whilst it's not the most popular game right now, it has... Everything's based off 6s. If you roll a 6, that's a success.
That's a good.
Yeah, that you did a good, and the person got a hurt. There is a chance to dodge. There's a chance to parry those, and a parry means you just have to roll it again. And then after that, that's resolved. It's a lot more condensed.
So rerolls and rerolls.
Rerolling a reroll, maybe. Then you've got, for example, the dice here from The Walking Dead. It's basically, there's their custom dice, which I know people hate having thousands of different types of dice.
It's a personal pet peeve. I despise custom dice in games, and I think any game that uses them needs to be exercised and
unless they look really nice.
Even if they look really nice.
You've got the scatter dice from Blood Bowl. Yeah, look at these, terrible. They don't even battle. I don't know where that went.
That's gone. Oh, it's gone. It's out the door and it is running free. But no, custom dice really annoy me.
Special event dice?
Scatter dice I can just about get behind. That's like one custom dice. I have got a box full of scatter dice, and now Warhammer doesn't even use them anymore.
Blood Bowl does.
Blood Bowl does.
Yeah,
but we love Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
We love it.
But for example, it's a way of showing that chance, isn't it? And a way of controlling that chance. So the Walking Dead dice, for example, you've got different colours as well, just to add to your hate there, Sam, with different numbers on. And it's a way of balancing the game. So a character who's not very good will roll a red, better a white, best a blue.
Yeah.
And then a combination of them, so a white and a red might not be as good as a blue on its own.
Yeah, and it's very similar in things like Fallout, where you've got all these different coloured custom dice. And each thing means a different thing. So you've got the so in order to hit with one gun, it says you might need 2 cola bottles.
Very confusing.
Yeah, 2 cola bottles, a nuke sign, and an exclamation mark, and you've hit them. It's just like what?
And then each symbol has a different thing. Yeah. I found Fallout, whilst it was really fun,
it's incredibly
very confusing.
Yes, I played the Fallout when it first came out. We did a custom launch party here at Goblin. The creators of the game came down, we had a chat with them, it was really cool. Unfortunately, it was before we had all this, so we couldn't record it. But I absolutely adored Fallout. I thought it was one of the best games ever. I rushed out and bought some. And something like 6-7 months later, I came back and I was trying to teach somebody how to play, and I realised I'd completely forgotten how to play. And the reason for that was the dice.
Yeah.
I could not make heads nor tails of the dice.
And they require the cards for the characters to kind of work
as well
too.
So you need the cards. You need custom cards, custom dice. And that's why custom dice really drive me up the bloody wall. Yeah. Again, Star Wars Armada, X-Wing. Where's the X-Wing dice gone? Yeah. X-Wing, all custom dice. So even between games from the same company, from a similar game, use different dice.
Yeah.
It drives me ballistic because I have got as a long-standing DM and tabletop player, I have got a mountain of dice at home.
Yes.
And I don't want to add to that pile anymore unless GW releases more pretty dice.
Yeah, I mean they're just D6s made all pretty, but those ones with the custom images.
Yeah.
When you start putting, instead of numbers, pictures, that starts to get confusing too.
Yes, like my favourite thing to do is to roll the squig dice from GW because they are little dice made from bouncy ball rubber, which means when you roll them, they bounce all over the place. And
I can't work out what numbers these are. Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, but the squig dice are even worse. If we can pull up a picture for the video, that'd be brilliant because they are an absolute nightmare, and it is brilliant to play with them because they are so much fun and it drives my opponents absolutely wild. What number is that? That is 3-4 dots. I can't tell.
These are the new Ossiarch Bone
So these are the new Ossiarch Bone Reapers dice, which I know a lot of people have been complaining about as well. Because although they look really cool, they look like they're made of sort of bony ivory.
That's 5.
Yeah, they have the skeleton hand as
3
each finger.
That's 3 and a bit
for the pips on the dice.
One of them's 4.
And but it gets better. So that's 5. Yeah, so that's 5. That's 4. That's 3. But then 2.
That's 3. It's
2.
Like 3
instead of doing that or that, what they've done is this. So it looks like every time you get a 2, it's just going, wait.
And what's the face? 6?
Exactly. What's the face?
I'm guessing it's 6.
Is the face the 6 or is the little...
Oh, yeah.
See, there's a little symbol...
Or maybe the face is 0.
Yeah, so there's a symbol there, and there's a face there. So which is the 0 and which is the 6? Nobody knows.
Yeah, so... Okay.
I'm passionate about dice, okay? I'm very... And stuff like this drives me absolutely ballistic.
See, I'm protective of, like... I like Walking Dead. I'm protective. This is a sensible use of custom dice because they're not just rehashed in any way. So if you're a terrible character, I'm going to give you a white and a red. I'm rolling just 1 blue. And then the score is basically the difference. So you've got 2... And I got 3 with a crit on it.
So that's not fair. So I had 2 dice and I rolled 2, and you got 1 dice and you rolled a 3. That's again, custom dice. They're evil.
But that's the point. Blue is better than white and it's better than red, but a blue and a white together gives you a higher chance. See?
And it's about sort of what's the word? Controlling the randomness of the RNG. So it makes you more consistent when you're dice rolling. I can see why a lot of games do use custom dice.
Simple resolution there too. Yeah. I beat you by 1 point.
Yeah.
I score 1 point against you. No more saves or anything like that. That's gone through. That's the day.
So where's my armour? I'm going to roll again.
You've been hit. There's a bullet.
Yeah, okay. I'm wearing armour, so I'm going to roll my armour save. Right. I got 1. So that beats your 3. Or equals it, so then I stop it on my armour, right?
So I hit you in the chest with a bullet, and you're like, well, that's hit me, but my leather jacket.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
See,
but then Warhammer, they are wearing huge suits of armour.
Yeah, true.
They're not like Walking Dead, you are wearing a jacket.
Unless you're an orc who wears a t-shirt and you get a 6+ save.
Oh, and then the fact, if you're wearing riot armour in say through the Mantic games, it's a straight up, you're wearing riot armour, so if you are shot, it will reduce the damage by this much flat. That's it.
That leads on to armour mechanics, because I really like armour as damage reduction. And it was something I started trying to introduce in my D&D games. Yeah. But little did I know that if you take your armour value off your AC, then all of a sudden everything's completely changed. So I got through about 2 sessions of trying to use damage reduction as armour as damage reduction instead of the AC, and everything just went to hell.
Just didn't work.
So although, again, going back to the custom dice, you know, if you try and replace them with D6s, which is also something I've tried to do, it just doesn't work. Yeah. Because, of course, the game is designed around those dice.
They become a crucial part of the game,
and in the respects for what they do, they work really well. You know, I can't deny that Fallout feels like a laser rifle feels different from a assault rifle.
Definitely, yeah. That
because
was really
they use different dice.
Yeah.
And that's the good side of custom dice. I also like we've got some examples.
Well, these are just standard D20s.
So these,
but they're made
so
thematic for the game.
These are good because the Yu-Ching dice or the other faction dice from the Infinity. Yep. Infinity uses a really interesting system. It's a little bit complicated, but you roll above and below certain numbers.
I found it quite easy.
Yeah,
actually, being somebody that struggles with Warhammer, I found Infinity quite easy.
See, I still struggle with Infinity.
As long as you have the reference card for the weapon you're using, it's rolling above to or below to hit, isn't it? It's below a skill level.
You've got to roll below, and then if you match it, depending on what the enemy roll, you get a crit. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
The damage is worked out on the height of the roll. So it's like you've got to roll the skill.
You've got to roll below your skill, but you've got to roll high to get on your damage, and then some things take away from it, some things add to it.
Infinity was simple for me in the fact that you roll to see if you've got a successful shot going at that person, and then the other person goes, now I'm going to roll to see if I move away or not, and I fail that, so you're like, well then my shot has hit, so let's see if it's actually hurt you. That I could deal with because there was 3 rolls.
And what I like about using D20s instead of D6s is it kind of obfuscates the chance and the result you're going to get. Because you say, right, I've got my arm value is 6+. I've got to roll a 6. That's a 1 in 6 chance. I still, I can roll that. I can, I'll take that chance. I got a 3, so didn't work. But with Infinity, it's with other dice systems. It obfuscates a bit. It doesn't make it a bit quite as obvious, and I like that. I like that because it just makes it like, well, I have this chance to do it, so I'm not going to bother.
You know what somebody said the other day? So I was just thinking, like, obviously we've got Mantic Games. Infinity is Corvus Belli. Somebody said they didn't like the exploding 6s and exploding 8s rule.
Don't like exploding 6s? I love exploding 6s.
Yeah.
I think that's great fun.
Playing Vanguard has exploding dice, and that made it so fun because it's not a high chance.
No.
And to me, a crit, that's a catastrophic win.
Exactly. I like catastrophic.
So you rolled the 8 and I got a 7. Didn't quite get an 8, but had it been an 8, you get to roll another dice, which is cool, and it's almost like
keep going down the train until it stops.
To me, it puts the immersion in that sort of you are in melee combat. If I hit you so hard that I've critically
your head
struck
falls
you,
off.
I'm probably going to swing again or do some additional damage.
Open the guy up, or taking his shield's gone wide, and you just
and so for me, the exploding dice thing adds to the pace of the game rather than going, you know what, now we'll just do another save against it. I'm overreaching with my ability.
When it works, it feels like a great reward for having a crit, even though you didn't technically do anything because it's a random chance, but it feels
and you know what
involved.
Rolling a handful of dice is kind of fun, but rolling a couple dice and then going, I can chuck another dice, that's more fun.
I'm a fan of exploding 6s.
Good, I'm glad we agree on that one. I am.
I like custom dice. I hate them.
Yeah. Well, that's not custom dice. That's a mechanic, isn't it? Dice roll.
And then of course we've got to go to the polyhedrals of D20, which again.
So games that use, there's one game other than D&D that I can think of that uses basically every single one of these dice.
Yeah.
And this is a really cool mechanic, and that's in Burrows and Badgers.
Oh.
So
yes, please explain to me. I have not played Burrows and Badgers, and it looks adorable. And I really want to play
do plan. I think I showed you one of my models earlier.
Yes,
I do plan on getting Sam to have a game with me. So Burrows and Badgers, the dice represent the size of the unit. Sort of, they reflect how strong that unit is. So a mouse is rolling like a D4, and a badger might be rolling a D20. So they're bigger. However, the mechanic that makes it very interesting is the crit mechanic, because a 20 is a crit for a badger, and the badger can roll a whole lot of higher numbers than a mouse, right? Because they've got a D4. But the mouse has a much higher chance of rolling a crit because it's a D4.
Oh, that's quite clever.
So
that's
crit,
very clever. I like that.
The crit immediately adds damage on of a certain amount. I think it's like 7 points of damage to the character. So it becomes really fun because you can have a mouse which can't deal a lot of damage normally because the badger's huge, so it's rolling a low, 1, 2, or 3. But if it crits, it does a lot of damage. It's found that weak spot.
Yeah, stabbed you in the eye or something.
Yeah. And that works from in the snout, maybe straight up its nostril. And that works down from the mouse size to the middle size with the rabbits rolling different size dice and right up to the D20. So it uses...
This sounds like an adorable game with a really cute system.
It's a really nice mechanic. And it also becomes hilarious when my shrew explodes somebody's badger, like in one hit or whatever might happen. Which, it happens. The idea is it might be, like you've seen Shrek with No, it's not Shrek. It's Alice in Wonderland with the mouse. Fights with the needle. Can't remember the name of the mouse. But yeah, it exploits the weakness. It's a mouse. It can get up on your shoulder, poke you in the ear.
It works.
Yeah, it works.
Get up your shoulder, poke you in the ear. You're dead. Crit. Exploding 20s.
Yeah, there we go. Throw that mechanic in too. Yeah, and it's nice to have the variety of dice. I really like that as a skirmish game.
Yeah, like I said, I like polyhedrals because, well, although D20, obviously D&D primarily uses the D20s for most of your rolls, and then most of the other things are reserved for either damage dice. Or, in fact, I think that's pretty much it. If you
tend to mostly see D6s and D20s.
Yeah, D6s and D20s. I like that. Like
and
I said,
Tom told me off for using D3s earlier. He was like, that's lazy. Well, it's not a lazy man's D6.
D3s are quite rare, actually. I don't think we've even got an example of a D3 here. We've got D4s.
I don't think we do. Yeah, there's D4s in the
D4s, or also known as caltrops.
Yeah. They're almost as bad as Lego.
Worse than Legos. Whoever says that Legos are the worst thing to step on has either A, never lived in England and stood on one of our 3-pin plugs.
Oh, wow.
That's
my missus
horrendous.
left one of those on the stairs.
Yep.
That was a domestic
Or
argument.
they've never accidentally dropped a D4, then gone to look for it with socks on and stood on the damn thing. I still couldn't find the D4, and that's because it was embedded in my foot. The D4s are just monstrous things. I think they should be banned under the Geneva Convention.
And then what we've got here, these are magic dice from Underworlds.
Yes!
So we'll be playing Underworlds soon. And these are really interesting. There is also one similar one, which I'll talk about in a minute. The 50-50 dice. Mantic...
hang on, wait. A 50-50 dice. So a coin.
A coin. This mechanic, right? If I could change anything, I've said this to Ronnie before, the 50-50 dice mechanic. You roll this, right, when your character is making an attempt to climb over a wall or similar. On a shield they succeed, on a blank they don't.
Okay.
50-50. I succeeded.
Okay, but that's a coin.
A
50-50 dice is a coin.
Games that use a D2. The other thing is, that's such a swing for me in terms of chance.
Yeah, no, that's
I at least need a character stat that says...
I am good at climbing walls.
Yeah, you get to roll 2 of them. And you only need one success to it, because I find it hard to believe that my post-apocalyptic scavenger character cannot climb over a small wall 50% of the time. It's like I should at least get to roll 2, and just one success is good enough.
Oh dear.
I'm very passionate about that one because
let me guess, it came up recently.
It's come up several times. And what's worse is
you can usually tell why people hate general mechanics in games and things for when they've been victimised by them.
Yeah.
Like I, for example, have been victimised by custom dice, mainly because I've turned up to games before and they're saying, "Oh, don't you have your dice set?" I was like, "Yes, I bought my DM bag of dice." "Yeah, you don't have any of these, do you?" No, I don't. No, I don't. Why would I have them? Why would anybody have a spare set of these? Come on.
Yeah.
Please, all these.
I, however, do have a spare set of those.
Oh, of course you do.
Because I was going to play with Chris to play that, so I had to get some. But yeah, the magic dice, they contain a hit, a swirl. I can't remember what that symbol is.
That's the thing. Everyone calls it. Everyone does the swirl, lightning, or what is it? There's the exclamation mark.
Yeah, and
swirl, lightning, crit.
They kind of have to do that when they're trying to make different levels of statistics.
Hang on. How many is there? There's 1, 2.
It's not perfectly
two
even.
Of them. And there should be 2. Is there one? So
I
there's
don't
one
think
crit.
it works out as being a D3.
No, there's 3 swirls, 2 lightning, 3 lightning bolts, 2 swirls.
Now the reason they've done that is because certain spells use lightning bolts as a success.
Yeah.
Certain spells use a swirl as a success. And certain spells use something else. And then in response to that, I think we might have fired the other dice off of the table.
I think it's gone.
There's the dodge dice. Oh no, here we go. There's the dodge dice and the attack dice.
But again, that's...
So you've got a shield for the shield users.
2 shields.
Those are assists.
1 squidge.
Yeah, that's an assist, a partial,
squidge, 2 squidge,
a crit, and a dodge. And then you've got dodge out of the way. So Underworlds does use a lot of unusual dice, but I've still really enjoyed Underworlds as a game. I guess it feels like there's less element of chance because I'm constantly looking for dice. Then you're
trying to find your damn dice. Like, oh god, which custom dice do I use today?
These aren't rolled in games at all.
Yeah,
the bolt action.
So there's pick out dice as well.
Order dice. So these, if me and Sam are playing a game and you've got your different units, each unit we choose conveys a number of dice.
Yeah.
1 dice per unit. They go into a bag, and this is how Warlord do their activations with their dice. Yeah. So if you're a Warlord,
you put your hand into the bag, don't you? And you pick out dice.
And it's your dice. It's the same for chips in Judge Dredd and Strong.
Yeah, I was just about to mention the chips and dice in Judge Dredd as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Strontium Dog currently, Judge Dredd soon.
Yeah, to be soon. I like this one because I'm not a fan of You Go, I Go full sides. I quite like alternate activation and smaller scale.
Yeah, I can understand that. I definitely prefer the You Go, I Go kind of thing because it drives me nuts when I've... especially, it was back in Fantasy, I think. Was it Fantasy? It had alternate activations. But there was a game once where I've played and then the opponent got 5 turns in a row and I didn't manage to get 1. And, of course, he just wiped the floor with me because I hadn't had a turn to go yet. They've definitely fixed some of that in Sigmar because you can't have more than 2 goes. Then it has to be the other player. But I don't like it when I'm victimised by chance because I don't get a turn to go.
That can happen with the drawing. And when I played Charlie at Strontium Dog, as you can see in the video you watched that, I played a card which stopped him having any chips and then continued to put mine back in.
But that's good because that's tactical.
That is, yeah.
You know, and you've made that conscious choice. And I think why a lot of people wouldn't like that is because you've not made that conscious choice to say, well, I'm going to roll a 6 today.
Yeah, a mechanic that lets you manipulate a roll is tactic.
It's much better, which is why +1s are so much more favourable than say rerolls in 40k because instead of rolling on a 3+, you're not rolling on 2+. Or
you increase your chance.
Yeah, it's a solid increase of chance rather than just be like, well, let's leave it to the winds of fate. Oh, I lose. Look at that.
Is that a crit though?
Oh, that was a crit, so I don't lose that one. It was Blood Bowl dice. Maybe I should keep this one as my lucky dice.
But yeah, these ones are the Strontium dice, which will be used in Judge Dredd as well.
And they've got fiery explosions, a shield, and the
what I liked about these is they may be custom dice, but they're the only dice you need. You don't have to have multiple sets because you roll these for that's a hit, so it's success. That's your protected shield that's needed, and then you've got the 2000 AD symbol, which is the super success.
Yeah,
and that's basically it. Yeah, there's no fail on the dice. What it is you're rolling to shoot somebody. I need the shooty marks to appear, and I got plenty of them.
3
I'm rolling
marks.
to protect myself. I need the protecty marks to appear, and I protected myself very well. And then the AD one is always a success. Or in the case of putting the chips back in the bag, you need to roll 2000 AD. Which I didn't, to successfully put my chip back in the bag. There you go.
Yeah.
And that mechanic is going to be used in Dread as well. So it's just 1 set of dice you need. Because the other thing is custom dice, they start to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, that's and again that's another reason why I don't personally like custom dice because like I said, if you've got a gamer, you've got a lot of dice, and then all of a sudden you've got to buy more dice of a different type. It just feels like a very sort of gougey mechanic from the designers to be like, you can't play our game unless you buy our dice.
And
it's
nobody...
Like, well, I've got 1 million dice, I don't want to buy more dice.
Nobody wants to play. For example, Walking Dead, this is how many dice you get with your starter set. Right? And between yourself and myself, if we're playing a game, I'm probably going to want to have those myself for my group of people.
Yeah. So then there's not enough for somebody else.
So you're going to want to buy a second set.
And that happens in... I don't think we've got any Legion dice, do we? No, we've got X-Wing and Armada. And Legion, again, uses the same D8s with a different set of symbols on them.
Right.
So, and,
these are D8s.
And in the 2-player starter set, it doesn't come with enough dice to even roll for Darth Vader's attack. Which is ridiculous.
So you have to buy
you have to buy more dice.
Wow.
And I hate stuff like that because it just drives me absolutely ballistic. I'm dropping, say, 60-40 quid on a 2-player starter set. I want to be able to actually play that 2-player starter set without having to buy more dice.
These dice are from the Band of Brothers starter set from Warlord Games, and it lets you build exactly this many units, which is nice. Yeah. But if you were to go and buy more units to bulk it out, you would have to buy more dice. But they're quite reasonable. But you do, if you're a bolt action player, you will end up with hundreds of dice.
We sell so many every day of those orders dice.
They are quite nice though. I like the order. I don't know what it is about.
And they'll come in different colours, and they're quite attractive.
So these double up as well. So they're not only activation order things, but you place them down on the table. They say fire, advance, rally, ambush. You put them down to mark what your actual unit is doing.
Yeah. Oh, so you don't actually roll.
No, you don't roll these.
I've not played bolt action. I'd very much like to. But I thought it was like, what is your unit doing today? He is.
That would be terrible.
Running.
Can you imagine? I want to attack that tank. Oh no, they're running. They're running. These are highly trained soldiers. They've gone down just because.
He's lying down. He's having a nap.
No, you choose what order you're giving, and you so that lets you know that they fired.
Yeah, so you mark it by the unit.
So they double up as activation markers.
Yeah, and again,
which it's worth noting that most games require
cool.
activation markers.
Yeah, and most Warlord games use either the same or a very similar system.
Yeah,
like Antares uses the same thing.
Does.
I'm pretty sure Black Powder does the same thing as well.
Yeah,
with the dice bag. So that's their entire range covered by one set of custom dice. Essentially,
one thing that Warlord have is none of their games use You Go I Go.
Yeah,
it's always there's an activation like Black Seas. It's the wind direction. It's the activation, so it's never just the whole other team. Cruel Seas, I can't remember. I think it might be order dice again for Cruel Seas.
I have a feeling.
I think it is.
I really don't know.
Strontium Dog is
grand total
chips drawn from the bag.
They just try and make it interesting.
Yeah,
rather than just be like, well, it's my turn. No, it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's my turn. No,
it's your turn. And you like that style. It's I prefer.
It just feels fairer to me.
Yeah, which is.
But
nice.
On the other hand, it is also more interesting to be like, ooh, whose turn is it going to be?
Yeah. But I think neither of those, whether you like them or not, you can never dislike them as much as the huge elements of random chance that confusing dice can convey on your game.
Like I said, the squig dice are just brilliant to use because I've become quite adept at reading them because I've used them in like 5, 6, 7 of my games, and I'll just roll it. I'll be like, oh, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I've got 12 hits. But then the other opponent's just like, what the bloody hell is that? And one of the guys who works here absolutely despises dice that are any difficult to read, and a lot of our players do, and it's very, very amusing whenever I bring my squig dice out because there's an audible groan from the rest of my opponents.
With the Gene Stealer Cult dice, if you hold them up to the light, the 3 becomes a 5.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're not supposed to be holding them up to the light.
No, you'd roll them on the table.
Unless you've got a glowing table.
Yeah. These are really clear when you put them on the table as to what they are. They're really nice dice.
Yeah, nice.
I like these Gene Stealer Cult
cool.
dice. You know what would be really nice? If they were filled with some kind of gel and there was like a tiny little baby Tyranid inside them. Cool.
Don't make GW charge even more for them, please. Good Lord.
They'd fly off the shelves if that was the case. And then, you know what? The Space Marine dice could have, little Gene Seed people in there.
Little Gene Seed. Free Gene Seed in every dice.
Yeah, that would be great.
Alpha Legion just like, where do we sign up?
And these don't use dice at all.
Oh, yeah, Malifaux. We can talk about Malifaux for a second.
I don't know anything about Malifaux.
So, Malifaux... yeah, I'll take Malifaux. Malifaux, instead of using dice, actually uses a deck of cards.
I've heard about it, and it sounds pretty cool.
It is. I mean, it's interesting and it's different, because it's the same sort of random number generator, except at the start of the game, you'll draw 5 cards from the deck beforehand. And then, whenever you draw a card, say like, I need a 3, and you draw, say, a 2 of clubs or something, you'd be like, that's not what I need right now. Let me take a look in my hand, and I'll just put that back in the deck, and I'll cheat another card into my hand, into play. So
right,
then
so
you'd
you
be
have
like,
a pool that you can draw from.
Yeah, and it just and again, so while the chance of something is incredibly random, it also lets you have lots of different effects to your abilities and things like that. So like the masks and the chalices. What is it? Rams, crows, masks, and tones. And each one can have different effects. So if you're trying to trigger an effect from a character, you'll need like a
you
ram
might want to play it. So you might play a low card, but because it's a ram.
Yeah, you get to do an ability and things like that.
But there is an element of it's not completely
everybody has a deck of cards. Don't tell me you don't. I know you do.
Yeah, everybody does.
Everybody has a pack of cards, and you don't even need the specific cards to play Malifaux, which is what makes Malifaux so interesting and different as a game.
What's intriguing about that system is once you're sort of several plays into the game, you know what you have a higher likelihood of seeing.
Yeah.
So it's never just a roll of a 6.
Exactly.
Because you know what you've got in your hand already, so you know that those cards aren't there. You know what you've already seen, very much like a poker player would know. Or
yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. You can count cards in it as well.
Yeah.
So you can be like, all right, so this has showed up, this has showed up, this has showed up, and you can like I say, you can count the cards. So if you're waiting for that Hail Mary, to get your character across the board, and you don't have the card in your hand, but you've counted the cards you're over. This should be the card I need.
Well, yeah.
You can wait for that moment. It allows you to predict and assess the battlefield in a different sort of way that any other game does, and which is why Malifaux is really, really great, and I need to play more of it.
Yeah, it's on the list of ever
growing games to play.
Malifaux is up there. I've now played Infinity a little bit, which I promised you a game. Burrows and Badgers is fantastic. Dread and Strontium are fantastic. Yeah. Bolt Action.
Well, that's the thing. All the games are good. Armada, I hear, is a really good game. I've never played it. I absolutely adore X-Wing, even with its custom dice.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic game. Fallout is like I was saying when we were talking about it, Fallout another brilliant game. So even if you have horrendous pet peeves against something, don't let it stop you playing.
Yeah, as much as there are things that I really dislike about the dice mechanics in some games, none of the games have become either unplayable or spoiled because of their dice
because of their system. Like apart from old style Warhammer, that used to drive me absolutely ballistic. Yeah. What is this from?
That is also from Walking Dead. That's
from
the
Walking
fear
Dead?
effect.
The fear dice.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That face there, it's got like a sort of the screen, yeah.
And just you roll that once your character is way too afraid to do things, and it tells you the things that they can basically do, or something like that. That's from All Out War, and I prefer Call to Arms so much so that I've forgotten how to play All Out War.
Shove that out your brain to make space for something else.
Call to Arms, yeah.
There is one dice system that I've been quite enjoying. For an RPG actually from the Star Wars RPG, also made by Fantasy Flight, so it also uses Fantasy Flight dice, and they're also different from these. But I think they use these actually, or something. No, they use completely different dice again. But it has a really interesting system where you'll roll a bunch of dice. They're D8s, so they're similar to that, but each one has like different symbols on it, and different symbols mean success, failure, critical failure, or critical success.
Okay.
Which sounds fine, yeah. But then you get a collection of dice depending on how high your skill is.
Yeah.
But that can lead to some very bizarre situations. So like, right, I need 2 successes to pass this roll.
Right.
And I have rolled 4 failures, 5 successes, 1 crit success, and 1 crit failure.
Right. That's your pool
so it's just like,
from.
Well, no, that's the result of the dice.
Right.
So then you're just like, right, so did I succeed or fail at that?
So
because of course,
cancel.
when you get a crit failure, that is an automatic fail no matter how many successes you got. When you get a crit success, that's an automatic success no matter how many successes you got.
Cancel each other out?
Theoretically, but sometimes they don't.
Okay.
And it sounds really complicated, and at times it can be, because you can just roll the most random collection of dice. You're just like, so what happened there? So I kind of succeeded, but I also kind of didn't. But at the same time, it really lends interestingly into your role-playing ability, so you can just say, right, so that means you failed at what you were doing, but you got some information that you can later use on. So you succeeded at some things, but not what you were trying to succeed at.
Right.
But it is an absolute
that's like RPGs for you, where they really go full ham.
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
Dice. The other type of dice we haven't mentioned is resource dice.
Dice.
I've got some really nice custom dice from Dinosaur Island. Which they're lovely dice, and they've got different coloured DNAs and stuff on them, and you roll them at the start of the round, and then you put them into like this shared resource pool.
Yeah.
And you take it in turns drawing from that pool.
In order to activate abilities and stuff.
Yeah, to build your dinosaurs for your dinosaur park.
That sounds cool.
Dinosaur Island is a fantastic game. I kickstarted it quite a while ago by a company called Pandasaurus Games. And I've got like the Hoofin Massive Collector's Edition.
the cool. Big chonga.
Yeah, which is impossible to get everything back into the box. That was one of the complaints of that game, is there's so much stuff in there. Once you open it, you cannot get it back in. But it's cool. It came with like little, those slap-on wrist things that you get at theme parks, so like a fast pass for Dinosaur Island rides. Which,
I love it.
If there ever is one, maybe that will be valid. I don't know.
We can pray.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I saw Jurassic World. I don't want to relive that.
I don't know. James will be straight there.
Yeah. He likes Jurassic Park, not Jurassic World. Although he did say he liked Jurassic World. I don't know what's wrong with him. If you like Jurassic World, leave me an angry comment. If you don't, I like you. Jurassic World was terrible, and I won't take any apologies for that.
What I really care about in the comments is your opinions on dice systems and dice and games.
And dinosaurs and games.
And games that have the worst possible dice systems.
Oh,
and the ones that may as well just be flipping a coin rather than rolling the dice.
Please tell us the worst possible dice system you've ever encountered, and I promise you we'll do a video on that.
Yeah, I can't actually think of what the most frustrating dice system for any game is. I mean, I found Fallout very confusing,
but it wasn't.
But the more you play it, you'll know
get used to it. There's not been really a dice system that's actively made me pull my hair out. And I'm going back to what we were saying before. Even if a game has a dice system that's confusing, or they use custom dice, or it makes no sense to you at first, don't let it stop you playing it. Because you never know, after a few games, you might get absolutely used to it. It might be the best system ever, and you'll be like, so that's why they did it.
Yeah, so never turn away some dice. Yeah. Unless they're Bone Reaper dice, because they don't know what they're saying.
No, we're still trying to sell them, Rich. Don't say that. They're great dice.
Yeah.
They look cool. They're cool collector's dice.
You just roll the thing under the table, and then you punch them to smash them down.
Give them digs. Skeleton digs.
Nah, I'm just giving them a hard time. They're very cool to have skeleton hands on them. They are just a bit funny looking.
They're bizarre. There's some very bizarre design choices, but I like what they were trying to do.
But you know what? If you're like me and you are collecting the Bone Reapers, you have to buy them. Because
are you doing Bony Boys
now? No. So if you're like me and you do that, then you have to buy them. That's what's like me. The fact that you have to buy them.
I thought you were playing Bony Boys, Rich.
No, I've not got Bony Boys. I don't remember what my Sigma army is anymore. Beastmen. Beastmen army. But I tend to really like having the custom stuff for them. So
it's like I will rant and rage all day about custom dice, and I will give me the chance. But as soon as an army comes out that I collect and they have their own dice set, I will go out and buy that dice set. Even though they're not custom dice, even though it's just more D6s, I will go out and buy that dice. I have 2 sets of Dark Angels dice. 2 sets!
20 dice in a box as well, though.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
DW dice have become really, really nice, actually.
Yeah.
They're really nice, high-quality dice with lots of different designs, and they're all really cool.
The Orc Flyboys dice for Aeronautica are very cool.
Oh, yeah. The Titanicus dice are really cool as well.
Yes.
The Traitor and Loyalist dice, then they've got the G-Tipper has lots of dice. Yeah. But it kind of beats just having different coloured D8s with funny things on them.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the worst dice system of any game out there is in the comments somewhere.
Yeah, please find it for us, and if you tell us the worst dice system and we look it up and we go, that's atrocious, I hate that, we're going to do a video on it, and we're going to rip it to shreds. Or we're actually going to play it and really enjoy it, who knows.
Yeah, and now having watched this, you realise that you need some dice, so go buy them.
Yeah, buy some dice.
From our store.
They're awesome. There's so many dice. So many different dice.
Yeah.
Dice for days. Dice for weeks. I've lost count of the amount of dice I've packed, actually.
You know what dice we don't sell?
What dice do we sell?
Couples dice.
Couples dice.
For naughty weekends.